Hi there. So officially the new Chief Executive Officer of the club, Omar Berrada, who will sign from Manchester City somewhere around January, February, is officially starting work at Manchester United. He has shared his first words with us as fans, and I'll be reading them to you, and so that you know exactly what he is telling us and what promises he's making to us and what his first set of roles will be in his first few days at the club as the Chief Executive Officer. Jadon Sancho has been reinstated back into the club, a decision that has caused a bit of stir amongst the fans. Not many fans are happy. A lot of other people are indifferent, but it looks like a majority of the fans are not so happy, especially with the turn of events with regards to Jadon Sancho. We'll be discussing that here on United and Everything Football Podcast. Also, we'll be doing a bit of transfers. A young player from the club is about to depart. Willie Kambwala is likely to leave the club at this point to Villarreal. We'll be getting you a lot more on that and why. So, and why it some way somehow helps us with regards to the things we'll be doing in the transfer. I'm here with Kwame and just the two of us today here on the podcast. Kwame, good to have you.
It's good to be here again.
Why? You don't look cheerful. I'm sure it's because of Jadon Sancho.
We'll get to that boy. We'll get to that boy soon. I'll unpack.
I'll
unpack everything on him.
Anyway, so remember to hit the subscribe button, please. Remember to hit the subscribe button. If that's the first time you've been watching us and you've not subscribed, you're not helping the channel grow. Please be part of this community. You know you're a part of us. Continue to be a part of us by subscribing to the channel. Remember, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Also, remember to like the videos and also share. Leave your comments, but most importantly, remember to like them. And your comments, we've been reading all of them. We are very grateful that you're a part of us. We thank you for all the kind words that you share with us. From the bottom of our hearts, we have nothing to say but to say thank you to you for always being a part of this community. We promise to serve you every now and then. We'll be here for you, giving you all the exclusives, all the analysis, so you enjoy everything you love about your club, Manchester United. Let's make a quick turnaround. When we come back, we will delve straight into the issues.
Career has been spent in football, the biggest sport in the world. Every day I spent in it has been a privilege, and that feeling has never gone away. I can apply everything I've just said in that context. In football, we also have the controllables and the uncontrollables. A refereeing mistake, yes, even with VAR, still happens. A ball which is a few centimeters from crossing the line. An injury which might change the career of a player's professional life. So in sport, it might seem that you can do everything right and still not win. But I don't accept this. Football has taught me that if you set clear objectives, believe in your ideas, don't dwell on the bad moments, and work really, really hard, then your aims and dreams can be achieved.
All right, thank you very much. So if you watch that video there, that's Omar Berrada. He was giving a speech for a graduation school, for a graduating class, where he's talking about things. He was not specifically talking about Manchester United. He was just sharing some very interesting thoughts about what to do in football. And these are some of the things probably we'll be expecting. But Kwame, Berrada starts work today. Maybe I should read his words, the words that he shared with the fans. I should do that, right?
Yeah.
That should be the thing I should do. So this is Omar Berrada, Chief Executive Officer of the club. He says that as I start as Chief Executive of Manchester United, I wanted to get in touch with you directly as representatives of our fans. It's my huge privilege to have been given the opportunity to lead a great club into the next chapter. Wherever you are in the world, people know Manchester United, the football, the history, the success, and most of all, our fans. Taking the role of Chief Executive Officer at Manchester United is a huge responsibility. I promise you that we will do everything we can to deliver titles, trophies, and culture expected of this club across the men, women's, and academy teams. I also want you to know how seriously I take fan engagement. Fans are the lifeblood of any club, and that is particularly true at Manchester United. I look forward to working with the Manchester United Supporters Trust, the Fan Advisory Board, the Fans Forum, and all fan groups to ensure their views and feedback are heard at the club. In terms of my immediate priorities, I will be focusing on the summer transfer window alongside joining our men's team tour to the USA. I'll also be spending time with our women's team when they are back for preseason and getting to know the colleagues across the club. I look forward to meeting with you to share more about my priorities and vision for Manchester United. I am also keen to hear from you, your feedback, your ideas, your questions. Please feel free to reach out to me, Colette and Rick, if you have any questions otherwise. If you have any questions, otherwise, I look forward to meeting you for the coming month. So that's a very long letter there from Omar Berrada, the Chief Executive Officer of the club who starts work at Manchester United. Kwame, that's the first action from the man, Omar Berrada. What's your thoughts on the letter that he sent to us, and what's your general expectation of him in this role?
That's clever of him to have addressed the Manchester United Supporters Trust as early as this. It was nice of him to refer to a couple of them by their first names. He's trying to say, I'm one of you. I'm part of you.
Yeah.
He's winning the PR game, but as one will say, Kasa Yemframa.
Yeah.
Talk is talk.
Yes.
Walking the walk at this football club is a different ball game altogether.
Absolutely.
I always say this. We always say this. Manchester United is the graveyard for many a men.
Yeah.
So if you come with whichever pedigree that you have, be it who he is, be it player, be it coach, this club can actually disgrace you. So
absolutely,
he should wear his his armor and get ready for an incredible battle ahead of him, because this job isn't easy. He has a hell of a task to do at this football club. But it's a clever start. That's what I'll say. It's a clever start. His job scope covers that of commercial as well as the finances of the football club, dealing with player contracts at the football club, and just a general oversight of everything that is happening at the club. So it's a huge task, enormous task, and he came in, to me, I would say he came in at the exact right time, because the summer business is just about to kickstart. Probably he would sign off the very first player tomorrow in Joshua Zexi. Welcome, Omar Berrada. Wish you all the best.
All right. So, but generally, I have expectations. I pray that when he comes in, the culture that we've all been talking about, the culture of the club needs to be properly structured. The culture should be aligned to making football the priority. I've listened to him talk, and one of the things that he said has always been difficult has been balancing the business as well as the sporting side. And it's one of the things that he was leading when he was chief operating officer at Manchester City, because you don't know how. The business brings in the money, but if you focus so much on the business, you lose track of what is happening on the pitch. And that's where United has been over the last couple of years, post-Sir Alex Ferguson. And it's important that Omar Berrada changes this whole culture and makes the football club and the football team the central thing that is supposed to be at the club. So that's all we expect from Omar Berrada. Get us quality players through good negotiations. And we'll get to the transfers. And one key player that we're looking to have looks as if it won't be happening, but we'll get to that particular situation. So welcome to the club, Omar Berrada. We receive you with open arms. We know that you're going to give up your best for this club. I've come to the biggest club in the world. We know you're going to enjoy your stay. Give us the trophies and you have your peace of mind. You wouldn't have aeroplanes.
He better do a good job.
You wouldn't have aeroplanes flying Omar Berrada out, just like we had with some former chief executive officer that we had. let's switch to other things. So yesterday we were there and we saw on the United website a news that Jadon Sancho, who last trained with the club somewhere around September, has been recalled back. He was sent on loan to Dortmund, and now he's back into the team. A situation that not many people have welcomed. Kwame, what's your thoughts? I know your thoughts, but share it with our beautiful audience.
Let's take a trip down memory lane first.
Okay.
A quick trip down memory lane and start from where Jadon Sancho even came into the club in the first place. 3 years ago, he was signed for £73 million, a lot of money, off the back of some stellar form for Borussia Dortmund. 3 years down the line, Jadon Sancho's stats read 12 goals, 6 assists in 82 appearances for Manchester United.
That's a lot, 82.
82 games for Manchester United, 12 goals, 6 assists. That's not even up to 20 goal contributions in those over 80 games. He averages a goal contribution every 4.5 games. His league stats read 9 league goals in 58 appearances. 9 league goals in 58 appearances. His best stats for the club was 2 seasons ago. 7 goals in over 40 appearances for this football club in all competitions. I'd ask you straight away, has he been a successful signing after 3 seasons?
Absolutely no.
So then is he somebody worth fighting for or dying for? That's where I draw the line. And then we talk about what culminated in him actually leaving the club. He's been with us for 3 seasons and has played for us in a combined probably 1.5 seasons, because half the time he's not been at this football club. He's either on
a sabbatical leave
a sabbatical leave from mental issues that we do not know about, of which the coach put an arm around him and tried to help him resolve the problem, brought him back, and we did not see much on a football field anyway. And then last season, he just had one job to do, one thing to do in order to stay and play for this football club. And he refused to do it. And because of that, he did not play for Manchester United for 10 months. If you do not care as much as to play for my football club, why should I care about you coming back to my football club? That's why I draw the line. And when I look back at your output ever since we've purchased you, you've been a flop. You've actually not added anything. Jadon Sancho was absent for 10 months, and I did not see any football fan for any game week in the league that we in the season that we struggled the most call for Jadon Sancho at any point in time saying we miss Jadon Sancho. That alone should tell you something.
Yeah.
Not once, not from any, not even from his stans. He's got a lot of stan accounts. Even they were not saying, oh, you know what, in this match we could have done with Jadon Sancho. Nobody said that. And we struggled like a lot last season.
Yeah.
And that did not come up even once. It tells you how insignificant he's been for the football club ever since we signed him. Even his position at this football club, we do not even know. Is he a left winger? Is he a right winger? Is he a number 10? Under 3 managers, this has still not been resolved.
Yeah.
So I don't see the hullabaloo around fighting for such a player to even stay at the football club. But I guess we know why. I guess we do. It's always been staring at us right in the face, but then we sort of ignored it to think that, you know what, some sort of discipline and this whole player culture is going to be kicked out of our football club. But unfortunately, he got his man. Is the very same coach. If people do not know, Jason Wilcox, the man that I'm referring to, he was the under-15 coach at Manchester City when Jadon Sancho made his debut for Manchester City. He literally raised Jadon Sancho from the age of 15 up until 18 when he left, 17, 18 when he left Manchester City for Borussia Dortmund. And this man is our technical director. And if nobody knows his job scope, it involves assessing the manager, assessing the players, dictating the playing style, as well as the kind of players that we would want to purchase into this football club.
Yeah.
So basically, he's the man who is supposed to assess Erik ten Hag, assess every single player at the football club, find out whether there are issues, and try and resolve those issues. That is how we are going to operate now. It's not just the manager dealing with all these things anymore.
Yeah.
The technical director, as well as the sporting director, trying to resolve this problem. And even before Jason Wilcox was appointed as technical director of Manchester United, the word in every single newspaper back in April, as far back as April, was that Jadon Sancho would reconsider staying at Manchester United if Jason Wilcox is appointed as technical director. And that was backed up by reports that Jason Wilcox himself would want to resolve whatever issue that exists between himself, that exists between Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag. And I think that's exactly what has happened in the background. They have sat them down to trash out the issue because of two reasons. Come the end of the season, I think Jadon Sancho was put on the transfer market because this meeting had not happened, of which a club had valued him as much as £40 million.
Yes.
But nobody, no club in this market has come even close to offering anything like that. The closest we've had is a loan offer from Juventus, of which we are even supposed to pay some of the wages. I don't think the club wants to go down that road anymore. Jadon Sancho isn't worth the hassle for a lot of clubs. So at the end of the day, we have to protect the assets because he's still an asset to this football club. He has 2 years left on the contract. We cannot sort of degrade the assets. He still has to keep fit. He still has to be training. He still probably has to play football to show that he still has value, even if he's not going to remain at this football club. So all these things have culminated in them having a discussion, of which the story did come out that they have trashed out their issues. I do not think Erik ten Hag's first call in this new would have been to say, I object to bringing this player back. People are saying common sense at the end of the day has prevailed. But the fact that he has accepted the fact that he can come back into training and be part of the squad doesn't necessarily mean that he has to play him. That's the duty of the coach to make sure that he puts the best team that he thinks out there.
Absolutely.
The funny thing is, this exact scenario is what put Jadon Sancho into trouble 10 months ago in the first place, of which Erik ten Hag did say that the reason why he did not pick him at Arsenal was basically because he wasn't training properly. So now it's up to the player, if he does want to stay at this football club, to train even harder than he was training before, and prove that he deserves a place at this football club, or train well enough to stay fit enough to be sold as and when. Now, if you ask me, he should never, ever have been allowed to come back to this football club. If you want to get rid of player power, see, even players like Marcus Rashford, I'll bring my own Rashford up, who has had over 200 goal contributions for this club, played over 400 games for this club. There are fans who claim that when he goes against what he's supposed to do, we should hit him down hard by probably even selling him from this football club. There are lots of fans who have said that, not even based off his off-field antics, of which I don't think it's as severe as anything that Jadon Sancho has done, because he has never refused to play for the club. He's apologized on a couple of occasions when he's gone to Belfast or done something. But he has history with this football club. He has actually performed for this football club. He has the stats for this football club, the trophies for this football club, personal as well as club accolades. What has Jadon Sancho done for this football club for him to merit any sort of, he was in the wrong and we have to forgive him and we have to let him go? It doesn't speak well to trying to get rid of player power in this football club. It doesn't. But I always said, Ineos were always going to make uncomfortable decisions. I say that all the time. These uncomfortable decisions will not just go against certain staff who have been laid off, or certain players who are going to be sold or gotten rid of. It's going to also be unpopular amongst the fans as well, of which I think this is one of those scenarios. But if you put together all the things I've said as to why they may have brought him back, it makes financial sense in a way, in that they are protecting an asset. It makes brilliant sense. But then in the long run, in the long term, I don't think it does speak well if you want to get rid of particularly player power at this club, because player power has been one of the bings of our football club over the past 11 years. So, yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know what you think. What do you think? I've spoken a lot, but I just want to know what you think on Jadon Sancho.
I'm sure you already know what I think. I'm not comfortable with the situation myself. I felt, I don't know. I'm not privy to whatever conversation that has gone on. What came out was a briefing. As to whether Sancho apologized or not, it was not reported. What we only heard from the team was that a line has been drawn and the case has been put to bed. That's all that we've heard. But to analyze it critically, I felt it wasn't the right decision. But you look at the other side. What do we do with the player then? Because the asset has to be protected some way, somehow. He's a very valuable asset. Unfortunately, we are not getting people to match the so-called value that he has. And he's on very high.
It's not worth the value, is it?
That's
it's not worth the value, is it?
Obviously, but some way, somehow, he's a talented player, so people feel that lucky. Don't treat him anyhow. Don't make him look like a less valuable asset in the eyes of other people who would come to purchase the player. So it makes it very, very difficult for the club. And perhaps after looking at all the other factors, the club were like, okay, let's find a way to resolve the situation between the coach and the player. For me, I'm looking at what happens between now and the next days because it will be very, very crucial. Is Sancho going to become a different player? Is he still going to act the same way? I mean, there are a lot of questions that we'll be asking, but I would want to give it time to see. I would want to give it time to see how things play out.
No, let's look into the crystal ball a bit. Let me pose the question this way. Do you think Jadon Sancho is going to be a different Jadon Sancho?
Well, you can never tell. You can never tell. Players, he's a young player, and you can never tell whether some way, somehow things change. I mean, it's a relationship that has to be mended. If the relationship improves, who knows? But you see, these things are very difficult to determine. So it's not a straightforward situation where I can say he will change or he wouldn't change. Time would have to give us that opportunity to see, is he going to take this new opportunity? Because see, things have changed at the club. The way the governance structure within the football division is at the moment has changed. When situations like this come again, we know who will crack the whip. It wouldn't be just the coach. Whoever is within the ranks that has given him a second chance is now going to be observant to whatever is happening. And we'll see.
And liable.
Exactly. And we'll see if he's doing enough. Because whatever training session they undergo, there are data and stats to back it. As the coach always say, there will be people there to see exactly if Sancho is exhibiting what is expected of him. All players will not perform for us to put someone aside to make a way for Sancho. It's never going to happen. The Erik ten Hag we know won't allow that to happen. So he must merit his position within the club. And Erik ten Hag is going to ensure that he won't make excuses for him. And we would all see if indeed Sancho has changed or not. He's not a player where you make necessary adjustments for. If everyone is running and tracking back, Sancho has to do it. It's exactly how he should play. You should play to the instructions of the coach. And if you are not careful, that's where my problem is. We don't want a situation where bad nuts go into the dressing room and create, because we read reports of players or elements within the dressing room doubting and undermining the authority of the manager last season.
Very good point.
So all these things needs to be checked. If they are not checked, it becomes a problem. So these are some of the things that I feel needs to be done. Whether he will change or not, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah.
So we'll see how things go. All right, so enough of Jadon Sancho. Let's do a bit of the transfers. A lot of news around Willy Kambwala, the young defender we signed from Sochaux somewhere around 2021, 2020 during the COVID season. Came in as a youth player, played under 18s. Last season, made his debut, played a couple of games in the Premier League. United have decided to let him go. what we are hearing was that the player was offered a contract, and he says he wanted to play a lot more football. He wasn't promised a lot of the football that he is expecting. As a result of that, United has agreed a deal with Villarreal with a sell-on and a buyback clause, a deal which is worth around £11 million. That's a whole package for the player. Kwame, you've been doing some explainers on selling academy players and what it means for our transfers and all of that. Now, an academy player is going. First, what do you feel about, or what do you think about the player leaving, and what do you think it adds up to our transfers this period?
If we cast our minds back, we were desperate for centre-backs last season.
Yeah.
And we literally scratched at the bottom of the barrel by throwing Willy Kambwala into the fire.
Yeah.
In his first couple of games, we all got excited because, you know what, we were struggling. You know when you're struggling, you get excited by literally anything.
Yeah.
He did quite a good job, especially in the game against Liverpool. But then a couple of games afterwards, especially the one at, was it Bournemouth?
Yeah.
That was a real baptism of fire. He showed us then that, you know what, you're not ready. You're not ready. You are not ready.
I'm not ready.
He needs a couple of seasons of proper men's football under his belt before he gets to that level. And unfortunately, his contract situation dictates that it's either we offer him a very good contract, of which that's the thing. We're not going to guarantee anybody playing time.
Yes.
It's not going to happen. Especially a young player of that age, especially in that position where we do need centre-back reinforcements. He is never going to be assured playing time.
Yeah.
The best is we give him a contract and make a promise that, you know what, he will still be in and around the first team as before.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, he may just come through. But then that may also stall his development. So when you look at the contract, it's quite an interesting one. It's a buyback clause. And we can activate it at any point in time when probably he develops and becomes a better player. So all in all, I think it's good. But then there has been a flurry of sales of academy players over like the past 3 or 4 transfer windows.
Yes.
And the reason is simple. I think we've explained this a couple of times before, in a couple of transfer windows already. United needs to get on the right side of PSR. We don't sell players that we purchase into the club very well. One way to make up for that is by selling homegrown players, because when homegrown players are sold, whatever money that you make on the books, it's 100% profit. It's not spread out over years. There is no form of amortization spread, nothing like that. If you make £30 million of a young player, it's £30 million on the books. If you sell an Anthony right now for £40 million, somebody we bought for close to £85 million. Considering the fact that he's already spent a couple of years already at this football club, he has an amortization value of close to about, if I roughly estimate, about 40-50 million pounds already.
40-50 million, yeah.
If you sell him for £40 million, all you are doing is you are spreading it over the rest of the contract that he has left. Of which, at the end of the day, when you do the deductions, you realize you've even made a loss on the player. Sometimes you may sell him, let's say we sell him for that £45 million of his amortization value. That is just cancelling out the rest of the contract. Basically, negative, like it's zero. You are not making any profit, you're not making any losses. You just, it was bad business, you've made back your money, and that's just the end of it. But for homegrown players, it's a completely different scenario. They were never purchased before. You brought them up all by yourself. So whatever money that you make, it's full profit on the books. So far, we've sold, is it Mason Greenwood?
Yeah.
For about 30 million euros.
Yeah.
We've
As things stands. It's not formalized yet, but agreement is in place.
Yeah. Let's assume he goes to Man City or wherever. That's 30 million euros in the bank. We've sold Alvaro Fernandez already to Benfica for, I think,
8 million or so.
I'm not so sure. Yeah. And then we've also sold Willy Kambwala.
The process of selling Kambwala too. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a combined 40 million euros profit on the books.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's immense. It's immense for us when it comes to the numbers game. If you sell Harry Maguire now, you're not making anything. If you sell, who else? Victor Lindelof. You're not making anything. Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you're actually not making anything. All you are doing is just getting them literally off your books.
Yeah.
Off the books. that you're not going to pay them all those silly wages anymore. And your wage bill actually decreases. That's the only benefit, but not necessarily profits on the balance sheet.
Okay.
So yeah, we are being sort of forced into this scenario. Let's just see what happens with the rest of the players who would have to leave.
We've Everton have sold Amadou Onana to Aston Villa, and David Onston was saying that until United pay up 70 million, there's no way we are getting Jarrad Branthwaite. Let's quickly wrap up with that kind of transfer and why we've decided not to go any higher for Jarrad Branthwaite.
United is trying to set a precedent in this market, something that will be a marker for the rest of the Ineos reign, where we are not going to be pushovers, we are not going to overpay for players, we're going to pay for players at our own terms.
Yep.
When you're going to do that, what that means is that you are going to miss out on some players. Yeah. You're definitely going to miss out on some targets. But the beauty about setting up properly and having the right men in the right positions, for instance, a Vivian, part of the recruitment team, is that when you miss out on your prime targets, there is somebody else with the same profile in the pipeline that you can turn to who would meet the price that you want to actually pay for. So that's what I'm expecting now. Branthwaite is not like the world's best player. He's not somebody who should be worth 70 million pounds. The fact that we overpaid for players in the past, or other clubs also overpaid for players, likes of Gvardiol and Fofana and Harry Maguire, doesn't necessarily mean that any Dick, Tom and Harry should also cost the same amount of money. I like the player. I do. I like him because of the profile that he is. A left-footed, tall, agile centre-back who could ably deputize for Martinez on the left-hand side of defence. But he's not the only left-footed centre-back in the world. The club, now I don't even think, I don't think.
The club should work.
The club should work.
They should go and look for
players. You can't appoint all these people and you can't tell us
they are finding the right players. That's
exactly.
True.
At Manchester City, when they missed out on Harry Maguire, they went for a certain Diaz from Benfica.
Yeah. 2
seasons later, Diaz was the best player in the league. Won them several league titles. He's won the Champions League with them. So if you don't get your first target, you should get a very, very, very good replacement for that player.
Well, that's it. Let me check my time. Okay. So the preseason games are coming thick and fast. They'll be coming in. We'll be playing our first game on Monday against Rosenborg in Norway. What's your expectations? We are getting to that point where we always say it's just preseason.
It's just preseason. I'm not falling for preseason anymore. I'm done with that. I've seen us have glorious preseasons and start the preseason on the back of back-to-back defeats. It's happened twice actually. The first one was under Louis van Gaal.
Yes.
And then another
Dutchman. Yes.
After brilliant preseasons, everything just...
Anyway.
See, I have the only expectations I have for these early games in the preseason. You don't have the full complement of your team.
Yeah.
But then there are a couple of positions that you have to be on the lookout for to see whether we can have players to either make up for it or we would have to go into the market to buy players for that position. One of those positions is left back.
Okay.
Left back.
Yeah.
Is Harry Amas ready to be the man? I think he's going to have a very serious
throw him there.
Just throw him into the fire. Like Alvaro Fernandez last preseason, and he bottled it. Let's see whether the noise around Harry Amas is actually worth it. If he can make a name for himself, probably we don't need to buy a left back. So that's one particular position I'm looking at.
Yeah.
As for the rest, I'm just looking at the playing style to see whether this new game model would be implemented as soon as possible. The game model dictates whether the kind of players that we sign are actually the right fits for how we want to play. So if there are any semblance or any hints as to any difference in how we are playing, I'd go like, that's the game model. And is Gante good for that game model? Is Zexi good for that game model? Is Matthias De Ligt good for that game model? Is any other player that we're looking at, even as fans, we go like, the way we are playing now, maybe we don't need this player anymore. Maybe this player will be better. So game model and a couple of positions. But I'm not taking...
The results that in
No, I'm not doing that thing again.
We are not doing that thing again.
I'm done. Win 4-0, win 6-0, trash Arsenal, I don't care. When the season starts, that's when the real business starts.
Action begins. All right.
I'm done. I'm headstrong now.
You're headstrong now. You're not paying attention.
I'm not getting gassed.
We'll be here to discuss a few fallouts from the preseason games. I mean, what we observed, not necessarily putting emphasis on the results, but I mean, what are we seeing? Are we seeing a pattern? Are we seeing the way we want to play? I'm sure the journalists would ask those questions for us. We pray that they do that for us. The club media didn't ask about the style of play that we'll be playing and all of that, but at least we trust that when the journalists meet Erik ten Hag, because they will do a pre and post match, normally a post match after the game, we would hope that there will be a lot more clarity on the style of play that we'll be playing this season. Because Sir Jim Ratcliffe in his interview said that the style of play will be determined by the CEO, the sporting director, and the recruitment guys. They will determine the kind of football that we have to play. So we'll see, because Erik ten Hag himself stated that when he came, it was the sporting director and the CEO at the time that told him that they wanted to play front foot football and United DNA to transition football and all of that.
Mixed up all together.
All right, so we'll see how it goes. So, all right, so that's how we bring down the curtain for today's edition of United and Everything Football Podcast. This is a special one, just the two of us. But in the course of the week, a lot more will be happening. United today, more podcasts. We are serving you, please. So remember, hit the subscribe button. Share with your United friends to come join the community with us. Let's grow together. Let's have fun together. My name is Kwame. His name is Kwame. Thank you. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.